Hey, awesome listeners. Before we dive into today's episode, I've got a small request. If you're enjoying the podcast, could you take just a moment to go and rate and review it on whatever podcast platform you're using? It costs nothing, it takes a brief moment, but it really means the world to us. Your feedback helps other people discover the show, so if you can hit that review button, share your thoughts. It's quick, it's free, but it really does make a huge difference to what we're doing. Now let's jump into today's episode.
I'm Wem.
And I'm Lewis.
This is the Forest School Podcast.
Let's go!
Testing. Hello.
It is cold in the woods.
Yes.
But it is still.
It is.
Before we get too far into this, I feel like I'm going to announce and apologise. Wem and I had a project in mind, and we said, "Yeah, let's do that, and we'll put it out at Yule. Yeah, we'll put it out at Yule. That would be great."
Oh.
And guess what? We didn't. But I have finished it.
Yeah.
Now
Okay.
we have.
But it wasn't a Yule project. It was a New Year project.
It's a New Year project. So we have combined forces for Song Wars this time. This is a joint song.
Oh, sorry. That's a different thing that I thought. Oh, sorry, I was thinking of a different
No,
thing.
we've done a different thing.
A different project.
Different project that's gone by the wayside. We have a joint Song Wars,
Yeah.
which was inspired by, we were chatting for a long time and saying about how this time of year is the bit where, you know, all the oldie folk songs, we sort of pin Yule and the 20th-ish, 21st of December as like, and then it will be spring, and that's the darkest time. And we were like, it's not though, is it? It's not though. End of January, mid-January, early February is the shittest time. And so we made a little song to remind ourselves that the coldest days are still coming.
Yes.
I'll put it in here.
The Holy King is losing his grip on the land, and the sun will return, so strike up the band. The Oak King is reborn, and the days are getting long, so join by the fire in this Yuletide song.
Don't pack away your winter coat, light up the fire and take a boat. Don't be an idiot, thinks it's done. Get another shades for the springtime sun. The Oak King is only a stupid baby. He can keep you warm like gravy. Maybe you remember what happened last year when I got all the way to drip before you prepared the spring team. Now I know the seasons go in cycles. You can't remember who's making me go psycho. Get out a pen and write it on your bum. The coldest days are yet to come.
The Holy King is losing his grip on the land, and the sun will return, so strike up the band. The Oak King is reborn, and the days are getting long, so join by the fire in this Yuletide song.
Don't pack away your winter coat, light up the fire and take a boat. Only an idiot thinks it's done, and getting out the shades for the springtime sun. The Oak King is only a stupid baby. He can keep you warm like gravy. Maybe you remember what happened last year when I got all the way to you before you declared the spring tears. Now I know the seasons go in cycles. You can't remember this ain't making your cycle. Get out a pen, write it on your bum. The coldest days are yet to come. There you go.
There you go.
So I hope you enjoy.
That's your new jam.
That's the cool.
Yeah.
It's my I'm enjoying the like dance hall vibes.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah.
So
I think there's more milk in that cow, by the way.
Right.
There's more dance tracks to
Yeah.
come, I think.
Yeah.
Please.
Okay.
Jungle next.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's the new challenge.
Yeah.
It's the jungle, and the theme is clothing.
Oh yeah.
This is our next theme. Is like outdoor gear,
Yes, it is.
and I said I might do something about sensory things and how clothes feel.
Yeah.
Do you want to say
Sure.
what your vague theme is?
Barefoot boots.
Barefoot boots. I don't think I've ever seen a forest school leader wearing barefoot boots. It's a joke we all bloody do.
What is the barefoot boot?
Hey podcast listeners, if you are enjoying the show, there's a small but very powerful thing you can do to support us, and it's completely free. If you can take a moment to rate, review and share the podcast, it means the world to us in terms of sharing all the wonky goodness that we're getting up to with more and more people. Thank you so much to everybody that's already left reviews. We do read them and try and reply to people if we can. Sharing it and getting the word out to more people really helps what we're doing. Thank you all so much. Okay, cool. So I hope you enjoyed that. Gosh. We are sat in the woods in 2 armchairs, and we're going to have a chat because we realised we've never done a sort of dedicated chat about loose parts.
That's right. It's like basic, isn't it? But, well, I say it's basic. That might make someone who's never heard of loose parts feel really crappy about themselves. So I'll retract that it's basic. Probably...
It is basic, but not obvious.
Yeah.
That's not to. That's the dividing line.
Yeah. So very briefly, if you've not heard of loose parts and you're wondering what is this, it's what it says on the tin basically. But it's the idea that lots like stuff that is movable, countable. Oh, not necessarily countable because I guess you could count water as a loose part. Stuff that you can move around, make things with, non-prescriptive. So if you imagine like a plastic pizza from a pretend food set is not, you could count it as a loose part, but in another way it's not really, because it is a pizza and there's one of it, and what can it be? It can be a pizza. Whereas a wood cookie, like a flat disc of wood, can also be a pizza, or it can be money, or it can be a medal, or it can be a thing that you can throw at a tree, or it can be a hat, or so you get the idea.
Yeah.
And it was the term was coined by an architect. I've forgotten his name, Simon somebody. Maybe I'll look it up in a minute. Who sort of offered that the more access to all these loose parts humans have, the more creative they become, and they start doing engineering stuff, and it's just very joyful and playful. So obviously, being outside in a natural environment like the woods, there are millions of loose parts just there: leaves, sticks, logs, mud, all of this stuff that is just and they change through the season. So it's always ever changing and inspiring because it's new and different. But if we're running a setting, we might also bring in loose parts that are different. So like guttering for collecting water, or rolling conkers down, that would count as a loose part. Lots of bits of...
string and rope.
Yeah, all of that. Stuff for the mud kitchen. So the idea is that you should have a lot of them to avoid kind of conflict, and people kind of, you want enough so that people can feel that sense of hoarding and collecting without it being then game over for everybody else.
Yeah.
And for them to be, as non-prescriptive as possible. And then obviously you've got to think about, if you're outside, then are they going to degrade? Are they going to get lost? Does it matter? Is it going to have a sort of environmental impact and all that kind of shemizzle? But we were thinking of doing it now, because we had I think did you say yesterday they might be the ultimate loose part? We were talking about why.
I'm not sure that they're the ultimate loose part, but I think they, the way I described it was that they fit in a very slim Venn diagram, which has very few things in it. But so the Venn diagram is things that are bigger than you. I guess it's 3 circles. Things that are bigger than you, things that are substantial, they have some heft to them. And then the 3rd circle is like easily movable. Very
and we're talking
easily
about,
movable.
of course, Christmas trees.
Christmas trees, oh, Christmas. Yeah. So we're saying that, but we've had lots of play of making shops and dens and all kinds of things, and it's been really joyful to see. And I was sort of going, well, the substantial bit is like, you could have done this with blankets and tarps, but they don't feel the same. And you could have done this with moving little logs and laying sticks out on the ground to mark where your shops are, but that's not big and chunky in the
And there's something about the quantity, I think. So the shops and houses and village that was created this week didn't have roofs. They were just, the Christmas trees are sort of bulky enough that you lie on its side.
It's like
it's a wall,
horseshoe
isn't
shapes.
it?
Yeah, it's like
A bit like
2 or 3 foot high.
Yeah. I was thinking about, have you ever been to Grimspound on Dartmoor, or any of those kind of like old villages where all that's left of the roundhouses is a like
The
little
footprints, yeah.
well, or like a little wall that's the same height as a Christmas tree, basically, and about the same size and shape. Oh my god, there you go.
Okay.
Well, there you go. That's that like link to evolutionary play of children acting out different evolutionary stages, because those houses that were made this week were pretty much the same footprint as those. Oh my god.
But we had easily over 200 of them delivered.
There are so many, because if it was like blankets and tarps, I would imagine that like, you see somebody else making something with a tarp and a blanket, whatever, and you're like, oh, theirs is really like, I can't do that. Either I can't do it because I haven't got that skill, or they've used the best one, and you hear that quite often, don't you? I want that one. They've used the best one. I'm like, no, this one isn't the same because it's got a hole in it here, or it's a different shape. Whereas you've got a monumental pile of Christmas trees. You can do whatever you want, and there's always more. Like just the luxury of it, like. So many, so many trees,
so many,
and all of the houses look different enough because you've got different sized trees, or you arrange them in a different shape, but similar enough that it feels equitable. It feels like we're all in the same community because our houses are all made of the same stuff. Very interesting. Yeah,
it really was, and also the different needs that they were fulfilling. So there's also something, Christmas trees being about 2-3 foot tall, which is like, I don't want to use the word defensible because that sounds like there's aggression going on. But what I mean is you can feel safe inside them. We've talked before about den building, and that like pallets and stuff are great because you can see out. So you could see the reptile part of your brain can see dangers approaching, but you feel that sense of security because the planks and
you're enclosed.
You're enclosed. And Christmas trees, in varying ways, meet that. You can just do a horseshoe shape on the ground. You could build it up a couple of Christmas tree blocks high. You could just make a pile, and then some people were getting in and putting a Christmas tree on top of themselves, and
they can see out, but they're completely hidden.
That sort of recapitulative play and like that bunker type feeling of like, we're in, and the camouflage,
and they're soft and springy. So you can make it into a bed, and you can actually have a really comfortable feeling that you're in a cozy.
If you're enjoying the Forest School podcast, we wanted to let you know about the ad-free episodes and exclusive bonus content that you can get by joining us on Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/Children of the Forest today and become a Patreon, you get ad-free episodes of the regular podcast plus bonus things. Plus, when we have guests coming on, we try and get a little bit of a heads up and shout out there so that our Patreon supporters can ask us any questions that they want of those guests before the interview takes place. So head to patreon.com/Children of the Forest. We really appreciate your support.
Bed.
I wondered if I could go through with you as a bit of a structure.
Yeah.
If I could ask you about the 16, maybe 17 different types of play, and see what you think would be the optimum loose part for that type of play, because they might overlap.
Okay.
So if you had to pick like maybe 2 or 3 for each one.
Yeah.
So if we were doing symbolic play, which I think we've kind of covered.
Yeah. I mean that is the key to loose parts, isn't it? Is that what an object can become another thing.
Sure. So rough and tumble play.
Ooh.
How do loose parts facilitate rough and tumble
cushions, bumper cars, and pillow fights and that kind of thing. So hold the cushion on your belly, slam in somebody else. Pillow fights, obviously making a huge pile of the pillows and chucking yourself in it. And
chucking yourself into the Christmas trees, like that individualized rough and tumble of like, I'm gonna barrel roll into this, I'm gonna flip over into this thing, I'm gonna it's like going to one of these foam pit type places.
Yeah.
Okay, slightly more difficult one. Socio-dramatic. The enactment of real and personal experiences.
Kitchen stuff. Teapots, saucepans, cups. I think probably cups and jugs or teapots that can pour are probably the things that get them, and spoons. So but spoons can kind of be replaced by sticks, I guess. But
I think things that
pots.
shape as well, like muffin tins and cookie cutters. If you can get some chunky looking cookie cutters, I think shoving mud into those and manipulating the things that can be really helpful. Okay, social play. So rules and interactions and chatting.
Pine cones.
Okay, go on.
Because the amount of games that have involved, like the pine cones become a projectile in some way. So like that massive game of baseball that was created with the pine cones, or the pine cones are thrown from a line and you're going to hit this tree, or we've made a target out of a bin lid and we're going to throw the pine cones and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay, nice. Creative play allows a new response, transformation of information, new connections. Clay.
And water. Yeah.
Do you want to elaborate on that at all?
Sure. Well, like clay obviously is the ultimate sort of changeable, manipulatable, that's not a word, malleable, that's the word,
Malleable.
thing that can, and it's not just like, oh, I've made a mouse out of clay and now I've made a person out of clay. It's also, I'm using this clay as glue to stick a thing to another thing.
Yeah.
I have splattered it against this tree and I'm really enjoying the noise, and I've observed how it sticks, and then I can stick other things in it, or I can,
And forgiving in that way that is like, this has completely gone wrong. Right, start again, and there's less. I was going to say there's no bad things, but there's probably just less.
Yeah.
Okay, communication play, words, gestures, mimes, jokes, Mickey taking, singing.
Fancy dress. Dressing up.
Or I'm going to argue where the fancy dress is loose parts.
Oh, 100% is. 100% is. Because our box, right?
Can I put my caveat in?
Yeah.
So I would agree with you that ribbons and fabrics and scraps like that.
That's what I was about to say. We've got like big bits of fabric in there that are cloaks or skirts or turbans or whatever.
I don't think crowns, Elsa dress, specific like tiger onesie. I think those are not loose parts because they are
a bit too prescribed.
In that same way that you were saying, the pizza is the pizza. A tiger onesie is a tiger onesie. Maybe there's a bit more wiggle room for it to be a bear or to be a cat, but not as much room as here is a scrap of orange fabric that could be I'm a fire ghost, or I'm a tiger, or I'm a...
What was the play type again we're talking about right now?
Communication, jokes, play acting, Mickey taking, singing, poetry.
Musical instruments. Or things that make noises.
Well, mud kitchen stuff often becomes drums, doesn't it?
It does.
So I think that is one of those things. And also, there are some dramery games that work well with little loose parts of like, this is not, or pointing and giving things the wrong names and all those kind of things.
Yeah.
Okay, dramatic play. Representations of things like TV shows, events on the street, religious or festive events, or even a funeral.
Oh, my goodness.
This is a tough one.
I was about to say just everything we've already said.
Yeah.
Because you can't predict what direction that's going to go in. So I was thinking about, when you said like even a funeral, we've had funerals here in many different ways for many different things and beings, and we've had things like stretchers being made out of sticks and string. And
I think sticks. I think sticks is the one for dramatic play because they are either swords or candles or wands or the pieces that make a house or the pieces that line things on the ground and symbolize this is my bed, this is where I stand. I think those are things in there. Okay, deep play, risky stuff that genuinely puts you at risk of life and limb.
Sticks again.
Bricks.
He says that because I keep telling the story this week because people keep throwing, well, actually one person.
My son keeps throwing stuff in the air.
I'm watching it coming down, and my uncle once did that with a brick and really hurt himself. Maybe he was the same age. Maybe it's just it's a schemer. Like, let's find out how
head
gravity
injuries,
works.
the unknown schemer.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, explorative play. Factual information, manipulative behaviour such as handling, throwing, banging, or mouthing objects. Mouthing objects.
Yeah, lovely. I want to say that's all of them again now. I feel like we've talked enough about so many different ones that all of the above.
All of the above.
All of the above.
Mouthing is an interesting thing, though, isn't it? Do you have can you have loose parts at forest school for mouthing? Kazoos.
I've seen
I mean, I've seen people.
kids,
I've seen people put stuff in their mouth, but I'm saying
including pine needles yesterday. Do you see that?
no.
People were like chewing on just one pine needle, and I was like, what are you eating? That pine needle? I'm not swallowing it. I'm just chewing it for the flavour. I'm like, okay.
Okay, cool. Good. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. And we wanted to let you know that we want to hear from you, the Forest School community. If you've got questions, topics you'd like to explore, books you want us to review, share your ideas and thoughts with us by emailing childrenoftheforest@outlook.com. Your input is what fuels our episodes, and we can't wait to connect with you. Fantasy play is obvious. All the wands, all the broomsticks. So again, I'm going to sticks.
Yeah.
I think that is, the one for a lot of these. Imaginative, again, sticks and things. Locomotor.
Ooh, conkers.
So just for people that won't know these things, locomotor, movement in any and every direction for its own sake, e.g. chase, tag, hide and seek, tree climbing, gymnastics, jumping, swinging, riding a bike, skateboards, roller skating, leaping, ball games.
So I said conkers because I would count in there in the same way as like, I don't know, because maybe it doesn't count as locomotor, but I would put it in there because it's about like the movement of the thing rather than the movement of the body. So maybe it wouldn't count as locomotor.
Locomotor play, I think, though, I have seen it where people do, and I'm not judging this, this is a factual thing, like inefficient throwing. You spin around, you put the conker in your hand and you spin around and then you just release it at some point like a helicopter.
Yeah.
That is locomotor play with loose parts.
Yes.
It's not efficient throwing in the way of like if you were trying to hit a target or if you were trying to do a thing, but it's like what happens if I go
Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe I'm thinking of conkers more in that, like, going back to the kind of trajectory schema and finding out how gravity works and rolling them down gutters and seeing where they go. And
it's a very popular game here to just run down the hill, to put obstacles in the way,
sticks.
Logs, sticks, things to jump over, piles of leaves, and just go right top of the hill to the bottom of the hill.
And
you
it's
cannot
called
stop.
the
There
hill.
are no breaks.
Let's do the hill.
Let's do the hill.
Yeah.
So mastery play is moving around your environment, controlling, rearranging, which I have big love for. Mud, Christmas trees,
water,
logs, tarps, all these things where you can manipulate big bits of your environment.
It's the best.
Okay, object play, done. Role play, done. Recapitulative play. So recapitulative play, for people that are unfamiliar with the play types, is like playing through different parts of human evolution.
Charcoal is a big one, isn't it? Because it ends up being like face paint and potion and all that kind of stuff. Face paint for either ritual use or for like camouflage because we're hunting, or to like belong to a tribe or that kind of thing.
I find there's loose parts that quite often come up in recapitulative play that I see are so contrary to what you were saying about there being loads of them and it being not a scarcity thing. The one, this is the sacred log. This is the dragon's egg stone. This is the
stones. Yeah, stones. We haven't talked about stones.
Stones being one of those things where like, you could pick up any old stone off the floor. This stone is only important because everyone in the game has agreed it's important, and that's what is also interesting about all of this loose parts play. Is it is in some ways contingent on everybody buying in.
Yeah.
There is an element where if you are... So some people have... will find imaginative stuff like that more or less challenging. Will go, but that is, that is a log. Yeah. Why are you saying it's a horse? That's a log. And we'll find that really challenging. And sometimes that puts a halt on the play cycle. Sometimes that doesn't put a halt on the play cycle. But for long cycles that keep repeating and have this nice feedback loop, you need everybody there to, in some way, buy into your imaginative thing with the loose parts. Because again, if you set a load of sticks up on the ground, so some more than others, if you set up a load of sticks on the ground and say this is the obstacle course, it kind of is the obstacle course. Whether you agree with that log being an obstacle course or not, there is a physical challenge to it. But if you pick up a particularly funny shaped stick and go, "This is the sword of the king's destiny," and you that only works if everybody comes with
Accepts
you
and
and
says
goes,
yes,
yeah, it is. It looks exactly the same as that stick that's there on the ground.
But
That
that is the one.
But that's the one we're all agreeing to. And I wonder if, thinking about, we've talked before about the co-regulation handbook,
Yes.
and this shared goal and regulating in the same space being like about getting your brains on the same wavelength, and that loose parts are one of those ways of doing that, of going, we're all collectively saying that pine cones are coins.
Yeah.
And the bonding that comes from us all agreeing and going along with this narrative. Hey, lovely Forest School people. I know, people listening to this, you are bored of doing damper bread. You are bored of doing marshmallows. You're probably bored of doing hot chocolate. So, I wanted to let you know about the book Forest School Cooking that I've written. It is half recipes that are going to take you away from the boring marshmallows and damper bread that are driving you mad, and into like cool meals and things on sticks and fast things and slow things. And the other half of the book is all about different ovens and stoves and things that you can build to cook in different ways. I know we personally have had it where you realise that what we're doing this week, we're frying something on the frying pan. What we're going to do next week, we're going to fry something in the frying pan. So building up loads of different ovens like rocket stoves and pizza ovens, it's all in the book, and it helps you to grow your cooking from something that the kids are just waiting to get the sugar into them to something that they're actually enjoying and getting a bit more out of that cooking. So you can find your copies on Amazon of Forest School Cooking and take your cooking to the next level today.
We've created a world. We've created a world together, which we're going to live in together for a bit. Yeah, absolutely. I was going to ask you, what do you think about, so we've talked about there not being scarcity, there being lots of it, but what do you think about like variety of offer? Because obviously, like, if you're in the woods, you've got all the natural stuff and you've got any human-made items that we choose to bring in, or the kids choose to bring in.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, sometimes we talk about like constraints or parameters to something actually being really creative and inspiring? Like if there's less choice and less variety, that sometimes that is supportive of play and scaffolds play. I'm imagining like a play, say you could design a play space where there's all this stuff that we have here, but there is also, like, some people might like have a sand pit and also a permanent like water play area and an area that's always available that has this loose, but like a huge variety of loose parts,
Right.
that could be moved anywhere you want to. So say you've made a village of Christmas trees, and hang on a minute, I'm just going to go over there and get some blah blah blah, and then I'm going to go over to this area and get some blah blah blah, and you've got like millions and millions of different types of loose parts. Do you think like more loose parts equals more play types, more longer play cycles, or do you think that there is a thing about having like in a purely natural environment where kids might just go off into the woods, not really bringing much with them? Do you think there's something in having a narrower variety available that does inspire more of this like shared world creating?
I think that's really that's super interesting. I think as
we
you
have precisely 9 minutes
Okay.
to discuss this before the next group arrives.
That's okay, because we are known for
It
staying on
depends.
topic.
Just say it depends. Episode over.
It doesn't depend. I think there is a difference between natural loose parts and man-made loose parts, or manufactured from natural materials loose parts. So I was thinking, as you were describing that thing of there being like scarcity, so if I just take pine cones as the example, yes, there are 10,000 pine cones in the woods, but there is variety within those pine cones. There are big ones, there are small ones, there are larch cones, there are fir cones, there are all those different variations that mean that no two are exactly the same, which facilitates bits of creative play and allows those cycles to go on, because you can become more nuanced with the loose parts. You can start with sticks are wands. I've moved to sticks now, mid-sentence. You can start with sticks are wands. Then as you get deeper into those cycles, you can get into bumpy sticks are evil, smooth sticks are good.
And that is
then
why the natural loose parts are more perhaps inspiring than human-made ones.
So I was thinking of
because they are
perfect wood
manufactured,
cookies.
They're all the same.
They're all the same.
Yeah.
And there's limited depths to be had if you have like mass manufactured, mass cut lots of wood
yes.
cookies. They're all the same size. They're all within a
Yes.
tolerance of 8 to 10 centimetres. They're all made of this same
And
wood.
can I add that then that might be, if you're talking about play from an evolutionary perspective, which not everybody agrees with, like some people think, I'm reading this cool book still. So some people just assume, oh yeah, you know, it's got an evolutionary purpose. It's where we learn skills. It's where we practice skills, where we hone things. It's where we develop new things that then help our evolution. There's something about that, about using natural things and looking closely at variations of these things.
Yeah.
That might be honing that bit of our brains that notices natural things and the potential within natural things, whether that potential is useful. Like, hang on a minute, I've noticed that the type of rock that looks like this, that's got this kind of finish on it, does make a spark when I smash it with this other stone. But this other type of stone, which is slightly rougher, I found it in the same place, but it's actually got little dents in it. That doesn't, and that kind of thing. Or whether it is an artistic thing. It's like, oh, this type of stick, actually, if I just like carve it a little bit, it's going to look more like an animal than this type of stick, which really doesn't. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
Like, there's something there about
it's like brain training and getting you used to.
Or whether or not you call it training, it's just like how our brains might work to be like attuned to differences in natural things.
Well, we're pattern recognition seeking,
exactly.
aren't we? So if you are giving someone lots of identical loose parts, you are not necessarily stimulating that pattern recognition system in the same way. This is really juicy, and I do want to do a loose parts 2 parts 2 because
even looser parts.
Okay, that's where we're ending. Even looser parts. Lovely. Bye.